Before we look at a society's economizing problem, let's first develop a clear understanding of an individual's economizing problem. The individual's economizing problem exists because of the combination of a limited income and unlimited wants. When an individual, such as yourself, is trying to decide whether or not to purchase an item, they must consider several factors. 1. The trade-offs they made to obtain that money, usually time. The opportunity cost, or the next best thing they could have purchased with those same dollars. Or 3, when given all of the facts, what is the best choice possible, not only at that moment, but also for the future? This problem isn't stagnant either. When given the same choices later down the road, an individual won't necessarily make the same choice, especially if there's been a change in their income. For the economy as a whole, the economizing problem exists because resources are scarce, not income. Resources refers to inputs that are used in the production of other goods and services. There are 3 primary forms of resources, and a 4th that must be considered but isn't always considered a part of the core resources. Land refers to all natural resources or gifts of nature. Trees, crops, soil, coal, really anything that exists in the world without human help. Labor refers to the human factor. People who work and therefore contribute to the production of a good or service, whether it be physical or mental work. Capital refers to all manufactured inputs. In other words, items which assist humans in making other items. Examples include tractors, tools, or training and education. Capital is not money. And I'll say that again. Capital is not money. Money isn't even considered a resource, but more on that later. The last one, and the one that is not always considered as part of the economizing problem, is entrepreneurial ability. Make sure that you don't confuse a successful business person with an entrepreneur. Someone can be a successful business person and make quite a bit of money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he or she is an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone that takes initiative, makes decisions, innovates, and takes risks on how they organize and utilize the other 3 resources. To examine how a nation uses their limited resources, economists use the production possibilities model. The production possibilities model shows the maximum combinations of 2 goods that can be produced with the resources available today. To create a production possibilities model, it is necessary to assume a few things. First, the nation is at full employment. Full employment means that we are using all available resources, not just labor, and they are being used to their maximum potential. Second, the amount of resources available are fixed, so there's no population change, no discovery of new oil fields. This is necessary because with each change, the model is no longer accurate. Third, technology is considered stagnant. Each time the access to technology changes for good or bad, the model is no longer accurate. And finally, using 2 goods is a simplification. You will still see the concepts shown by the model without making it any more complicated. Oftentimes, the 2 goods are general categories of 2 goods rather than specific goods, so that the production possibilities model shows the trade-off between choosing those goods. To start a sample model, we must first create a production possibilities table. To create our sample model, we will use the 2 goods, pizza and robots. This production possibilities table shows the combinations of pizza and robots that can be produced with the resources available. We are able to interpret from the table that at point A, the economy can produce 10,000 robots by using all of the resources to produce those robots, but they will not be able to make any pizza. At point B, the economy is able to produce 100,000 pizzas, but they have to give up some robots to get those pizzas and therefore can only make 9,000 robots. This is because some resources are reallocated to producing pizzas instead of robots. As the economy continues to move towards point E, the number of pizzas increases while the number of robots decreases, illustrating that the opportunity cost of more pizzas is lost robots. Next, we use the production possibilities table to construct our model by plotting the points on a graph and connecting the points with a single line. This line is called the production possibilities curve, or PPC, and it shows us the infinite combinations of pizza and robots we can make within our given economy. Producing anywhere along the blue PPC line means that the economy is producing the maximum amount of pizzas and robots, and this implies that the economy is efficient. When the economy is efficient, the only way to get more of one good is to give up some of the other, because all resources are already being utilized. There is no way to allocate the resources differently without giving up some of another good. The economy can produce at any point inside the PPC, but doing so means that the economy is inefficient. That means that the economy has idle resources and/or resources are not being used to their capacity. When inside the PPC, it is possible to get more of both goods by utilizing idle resources or using resources to their capacity. A simple example of why an economy might be at point U is one in which a high level of cyclical unemployment exists because of an economic recession. There are individuals that can and want to produce goods, but there's just no jobs available. Any point to the right of the PPC represents a combination of robots and pizzas that is impossible to create with the current resources. The PPC is concave because of the increasing opportunity costs. If the opportunity costs were constant, the PPC would be a straight line. The economy decides how much pizza to produce similarly to how a person makes their decisions. The economy must compare the marginal benefit to the marginal cost of producing pizza. The optimal amount of pizza is where the marginal benefit is equal to the marginal cost of producing another unit of pizza. This decision is made differently depending on the type of economy you live in. As I said before, in order for a model to remain accurate, we had to make some assumptions. But what happens when we begin to change those factors, such as amount and quality of available resources? An economy grows when there are more resources and/or better resources available. With more resources available, the economy can produce more total goods and services. When resources are better or technology improves, it means that the economy can use fewer resources to produce the same output, thereby freeing some resources to increase the output of other goods and increasing the total goods and services produced. The increase in supplies of resources, improvements in resource quality, and technological advances that occur in a dynamic economy move the production possibilities curve outward to the right, allowing the economy to have larger quantities of both types of goods. Graphically, economic growth is shown as a shift to the right of the PPC. Shifting the PPC to the right shows that more robots and pizzas can now be produced at every point on the PPC. Points that used to be unattainable are now attainable. This means that the economy will now have a higher standard of living. Where the economy chooses to produce on the PPC today largely determines the amount of economic growth that they will experience in the future. Goods for the future include goods like capital, education, and research and development. When we produce those kinds of goods today, they don't do anything to satisfy needs and wants today, but they will help to better satisfy future wants and needs by enabling the economy to produce a greater amount of present goods in the future. Present goods are goods that satisfy needs today and do nothing for us in the future. Most of the goods that we buy are present goods. Examples can include food or gasoline for your car. As a last note for Chapter 1, it is important for us to remember a few very important things as we continue in a study of macroeconomics, and something you'll be reminded of along the way. First, avoid bias. It's often difficult to put aside biases, but it is important in order to perform an objective evaluation of the economy. Second, be aware of loaded terminology. The news often uses loaded terminology to catch the audience's interest, but we have to be careful of the exaggerations this often implies. Third, be wary of the fallacy of composition. Fallacy of composition often occurs when we assume that what benefits one person will also benefit others. For example, when there's a traffic jam on the highway, it'll benefit me to take the back roads if I am the only one who does that. If everyone gets off of the highway and tries to take the back roads, then the back roads will become very congested and it could actually take longer. Fourth, It is important to not draw conclusions about cause and effect relationships. If a person is flipping a coin and they get heads 6 times in a row, it does not increase or decrease their chances of flipping another heads. Superstitions are also great examples of the post hoc fallacy. And finally, the most tempting pitfall is correlation, not causation. Oftentimes, events are related or correlated, but it doesn't mean that one actually caused the other. A great example that even teachers are guilty of is the positive relationship between education and income. It does not tell us which causes the increase in the other, or which one is the dependent variable and which one is the independent variable. It may be that the increase in income that occurs with increased education is due to some other third factor. There's just no way of knowing, only that they're related.